Shalom Havrim. Now, every week I share insights from the Torah portion. Now, I want to share something interesting from Parashat Yitro. And I want to share specifically from the scripture, Exodus 19, verse 4. Hear what it says in Safari. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to me. So this is God expressing his love towards the children of Israel, the one who he brought to himself as a holy nation, a royal priesthood. Now, when I read this scripture, something jumped out at me, eagle's wings, and I began to think, but what God really means. And I thought about, does this concern me? Can I benefit from this scripture? Now, in Hebrew, the words for eagle's wings is Nesharin Kanape. Nesharim means eagles and Kanape means wings. Now, as usual, every Hebrew letter has a value. So if we're gonna look at the values for, or the letters rather, for these two words, for Nesharim, we would have 5 letters: Nun, Shin, Resh, Yud, and Mem Sofit. And for Kanape, we have Kaf, Nun, Pe, Yud. Now there's a Nun in Nesharim, and the Nun speaks of the future, the next generation. The Shin represents transformation, purifying and changing the conditions of our lives. The Resh speaks to the eternity of the Creator, the Reshimo, which is a spiritual DNA. The Yud it symbolizes the need to change, and the Mem represents manifestation. Now the Kaf speaks to Kippah. I don't know how many of you know what the kippah is, but the Jewish males normally wear a little small rounded hat on their head, and that is the kippah, right? And the kippah represents the palm of God over man's head. So basically it means, this is my authority. God is my authority, and I honor him and I see him as my protector. Now the Nun speaks to, or it represents a symbol of faithfulness. And the Pe represents language, the power to speak. The Yud also represents the hand of God. Now all these definitions I've made mention, it connects with what we read about, the journey or the experiences of the children of Israel, and we can now understand why God would have said he bore them on eagle's wings and brought them to him. Now, as it relates to the calf, God, when we read the scriptures, we see where God literally protected the children of Israel, and I would say the mixed multitude. He protected them throughout the wilderness. We see where, they didn't have to change their clothes or change their shoes. They were fed time and time again. He saw to it that they were taken care of. And the Nun, which I made mention that it represented symbol of faithfulness. Remember when God told Moses about his assignment, he said that your ancestors knew me, your forefathers knew me as El Shaddai, but you will know me. The people of Israel will know me. The Pharaoh, the Egyptians will know me as Yudevave. Yudevave speaks to the covenanted God, the one who sees to it that everything he declares about you come to pass. So we know for sure that indeed it is the faithful God who bore the children of Israel on eagle's wings. And then remember, it is throughout their journey, that Mount Sinai experience where there was lightning and thunder. The people were fearful. They received the gift of God. They received Torah. Torah is made up of words. Words, speak to languages. They were able to express, the very thoughts of God, the words of God, right? And their wilderness experience, what God did to them, took them on or carried them on eagle's wings, was to really transform them, was to really change their mindset. Because remember, they were used to being slaves, and now God wanted them to be his army, his holy nation, his royal priesthood. And so the mind needed to change, and that was what they experienced, one of the reasons for them experiencing, the wilderness, right? God also wanted to purify and change the conditions of their lives. They were accustomed to slavery, and God wanted them to experience freedom in him. That is why he would have given Moshe, we would say, the 10 Commandments to bring freedom to their physical and spiritual lives. Now, the Resh speaks to, I mentioned, eternity. And it goes to show that God is delivering them for eternity. The freedom that he gave them was an eternal freedom. So each day they had to tap into this freedom. Freedom of the mind, freedom of the soul, freedom of the body, right? And God wanted them to understand that he has placed his reshimo, his spiritual DNA in them, so that they know that, guess what? You are more than just slaves. You are more than what you did in Egypt. I have called you to me. I have brought you to me. And it means now you have to tap into the potential that I have placed in you and become fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. The Yud symbolizes the need to change. So the experiences that the children of Israel went through was for them to change, was for a shift, in their mindset, and for them to manifest the mem, to manifest who God really created them to be. Now, we can learn from this, because so it is, God takes us or bore us on eagle's wings. There are many of us who go through challenges when we think that, okay, during the challenges, we literally think that we would die. But when we look back on where God has taken us, we can say, really, I have experienced, being carried on eagle's wings. I've experienced the divine protection of God. I've experienced where God fought against my enemies and I'm victorious. Remember, when we think of the eagle carrying its eaglets, it carries it on its back. So it means, guess what? If enemy approaches the eagle, right, wanting to harm the eaglet, it has to come through the eagle first. And the eagle, in Jamaica, we say don't back, right? It means the eagle stand to its enemy. It is not afraid. It is fearless. And that is who God is. So when God carries us on his back, it means we are well protected. We are surrounded by heaven. We are carried effortlessly through our challenges. Now, I want to leave a truth with you. As a matter of fact, 2 truths as it relates to eagle's wings. First truth, the palm of God is over man, right? And when I speak about man, I'm generalizing man, woman, boy, girl. And it symbolizes his faithfulness and credibility of his speech. So what I'm doing here, these truths that I'm revealing, is when I put all the definitions of the Hebrew letters for us to understand what God really meant when he said, I bore you on eagle's wings. So the palm of God is over man, and his palm symbolizes his faithfulness and his credibility, the credibility of his speech, because he spoke about us, because he has declared certain things over our lives, it means he has to protect us, to ensure that we are protected for us to receive the promises and to see his words come to pass. Now, this also, right, God boring us on eagle's wings also provides the opportunity for us to multiply and to transform. Remember, our mindsets or hearts need to be transformed into who he has called us to be. And we are transformed and we will multiply as a result of the reshimo, the spiritual DNA that God has placed in us, which enables us to be and become and to manifest. So because God has placed his spiritual DNA in us, automatically there's a drive, there's a yearning to satisfy creation, to satisfy the groanings of creation, to satisfy the will of our God. Now, so God is taking us to an elevated level. Now, the eagle flies very high. So we are moving beyond the natural to a level that is greater than what we were used to in Egypt. We think of the Israelites, he took them to a land that was far much better than Egypt. He's taking us higher. He's giving us a panoramic view, of what he has for us. And I mean, when you think of the eagle soaring so high, the eagle can see earth. And then I'm reminded that, guess what? We are seated in heaven. So we hold that elevated position, that esteemed position, where, guess what? We are able to influence earth. We are able to bring transformation and rectification. Now, if God didn't want the children of Israel to be set apart, to be a holy nation, to be a royal priesthood, to be different, to be an example to other nations, then he wouldn't have delivered them. Right? And that is what he does to us. He delivers us. He carries on eagle's wings so that we can be reminded of our identity, be reminded that, guess what? We are from an elevated position. We reign and rule from heaven. And this is what I want to share with you this week from Parashat Yitro. Shalom.